to come. Raga next up. The 34-year-old, 4 times world champion. Last victorious in Barcelona back in 2008. The winner, of course, of the opening round last season. I'm sure he'd dearly love to do the same in the opening event of 2017's campaign. Raga is up. Right leg used to balance. He didn't need to use the sump of the machine, so he's avoided dropping any marks so far. Cabestan and Fajardo both dropped a mark on that first lift. Just clattering the bottom of the machine on the step. And Raga manages to avoid doing so. So a strong start for him as he's watched on by his minder, making the turn on the back wheel, replicating the efforts of Albert Cabestan in the opening ride of Section 1. Raga then up to the top. The remainder of the section should be fairly straightforward. And so it proves. 56 seconds for Adam Raga, and he's through Section 1, the first rider to make it through clean. Immediately taking an advantage over both Albert Cabestan and Toni Fajardo, and heaping the pressure back on Toni Bou. The 30-year-old, 10 times world champion, and 10 times winner here in Barcelona as well. 20 all-time victories in Spanish X-Trial events. Reading Toni Bou's record is like reading a roll of honour for a championship. Such has been his domination of the sport in recent campaigns. This is where he's slipped up through qualifying in this section. But only Toni Fajardo, who ironically made it through this section in qualifying, has so far failed Section 1 of the final. Back wheel flips over into line with the front wheel. Perfectly on top of that curved surface. No marks dropped so far. And up to the top of the section, still clean. Toni Bou looks set to match Adam Raga's effort in the opening section. Jumped straight over the last element, 55 seconds down for a landing, and clean in some of the lost ground from the opening section immediately. From 4 marks down on Albert Cabestan, he now only sits 1 in arrears as Adam Raga goes down really early in Section 2. Before either Toni Fajardo or Albert Cabestan had dropped marks at the same point in the same section. Well, caught completely unawares by that, because Raga just makes a misjudgment on landing, doesn't quite reach the second cylinder, and down he goes to a 5. So Toni Bou now has a 5-mark advantage and an opportunity to consolidate it here. You can see the cylinder that caught out Adam Raga doesn't even match the length of the bike, and that's why he's just slipped backwards there and down to a 5-mark score. Now, Toni Bou has taken the same approach as Albert Cabestan, rather than the leap that we saw from Toni Fajardo. And that cost Albert Cabestan a 5-mark score. Toni Bou clearly more confident that he can make it up this step from a lower height. He's urging the fans to applaud and encourage him forward. Showmanship from Toni Bou as early as Section 2. He makes it up, still urged on by the crowd, and through to finish, and it's clean for Toni Bou. Adam Raga for Section 3. Fast approaching 100 podium finishes in X-Trial competition. The former world champion. Both Cabestan and Fajardo have failed here. Do either Raga or Bou have anything extra? The answer to that is no, certainly in the case of Adam Raga. There just isn't a long enough platform for the riders to build anything up. And then the extreme height of that step, plus it's a curved surface, well, it's proved impossible for Cabestan, Fajardo and Raga so far. The man to make the impossible possible is Toni Bou. Can he open a 10-mark advantage by running clean here? The fans know this is a massive moment in the context of this X-Trial event. Toni Bou reaches up, he's got higher than any of the others, but slips off to the right, and down he goes to a 5 as well. So the status quo maintained in Section 3, as all of the riders notch 5 marks. And it's still Toni Bou who leads by 8 sections in the final compared to 7 here last year, so more opportunities for the riders to recover from mistakes and make differences to their rivals, which is what Adam Raga will be hoping to do here. as he sits 5 in arrears of Toni Bou. 36 extra wins to his name, 5 of them under the roof of the Palau Sant Jordi. Adam Raga preparing to tackle this step that has seen both Albert Cabestan and Jeroni Fajardo fall to a 5-mark score through the Leaf section, section number 4. Well, he reaches up onto the step with the sump. He's going to cost himself a mark on leaning, but he won't be too disappointed about that. And in fact, he seems delighted with his efforts in section 4. Adam Raga, the first rider to make it through. 1 dropped mark moves him on to 11, and now 5 marks clear of that squabble between Cabestan and Fajardo. Toni Bou next up, already showing fine form in 2017. Winner of pre-season indoor events in both Sheffield and more recently Toulouse. Adam Raga, runner-up on each occasion. Bou leads him by 6 marks so far here today. But if he drops to a 5 like Cabestan and Fajardo before him, then he'll be back within reach of Adam Raga. No such difficulty, and he does it on the back wheel. Raga had to use a mark for leaning there, and Bou runs clean. Gaining another mark over his main rival, and now sitting 6 marks clear. He's got... So Cabestan on 21, Fajardo 19. Raga and Bou leading the way, but both Fajardo and Cabestan have dropped marks on this section. If Adam fails this one, he will put the X-Trial in Toni's hands next time out. 6 marks the gap between them. Fajardo has already shown Raga the way through this section, but Raga will really need to try his very best to be clean here. This, the most time-consuming section of the final so far. In fact, Fajardo becoming the first rider to drop a mark on time in this grand final, as he successfully moved through section number 6 last time out. Adam Raga's turn. He's up to the top of that step, and so far so good, although time pressure will certainly get to him towards the end of this section. Balancing and preparing for the remaining steps. He's through on the back wheel. Oh, but it's a 5-mark score for Adam Raga. It looks as though he's landed outside of the gate, and he raises his head in frustration. That is a real missed opportunity, because Raga was through the section perfectly. And the fans none too happy to have seen their rider drop to a 5, but he's missed the gate on landing. Gone outside of the section, and it's a 5-mark score for Adam Raga. So a clean section here will give Toni Bou the victory. And Adam Raga has already paved the way by showing Toni the perfect way through the section, because he did it faultlessly, aside from that landing. 11 marks now the gap. If Toni Bou goes clear, the worst he can drop in the remaining 2 sections would be 10 marks. Victory would be his, with 2 sections to spare. Bou clean so far. One wonders whether Raga was rushing in the latter stages of that section, and that's what caused him to drop outside of the finishing gate. Toni Bou needs to avoid making the same error, and victory is his in Barcelona! 24 apiece. So with 2 marks or better here, Adam Raga will seal 2nd position, because he's 8 marks up on Fajardo and Cabestan, and they won't be able to reach him in the remaining section, even if he suffers a 5 in section 8. As long as he can avoid dropping more than 2 marks here. Clean so far. Fajardo had already dropped a mark by this point, but this is the step that cost Albert Cabestan 3 marks. Will Raga be able to make it through without dropping those same 3 marks, and therefore confirm his 2nd position? Oh, he slides down beautifully. Such grace from Adam Raga. And as long as he makes it out of the rest of this section without dropping those marks, he will seal 2nd place. It's not what he would have wanted coming into today's event, but it'll still be a damage limitation ride. Adam Raga takes 2nd position then in Barcelona. 58 seconds his time through section 7. So with 2 seconds to spare, he is clean in section 7. Victory already secured for Toni Bou. Second place confirmed last time out for Adam Raga. The rest of this extra will be about the battle for third place between Gironi Fajardo and Albert Cabastan. And an exhibition opportunity for Toni Bou, the dominant force in the extra World Championship. So many consecutive victories here in Barcelona, as I've already said. And 10 times world champion at the age of 30. Just how long can Toni Bou keep up this level of performance? Even more efficiently than Adam Raga. He didn't suffer that slide. He managed to balance the back wheel perfectly in line with the front as he landed on the trunk. And Bou makes it look easy in section 7. And even ends with a backflip as he is the second rider to set up a tie-break for third position. So that is this X-Trial decided then. Oh, exhibition stuff from Adam Raga. All on the back wheel so far. Well, the remaining 2 riders out just playing for fun. Oh, a little bit of a slip coming over the boulder there as it moved under his weight, and that's what's cost him 5 marks. But as I said, with first and second already decided, both Raga and Bou are out to please the crowd and enjoy themselves really on Section 8, which isn't often the case in World Championship X-Trial. No pressure on Toni Bou in the final section. All on the back wheel so far. Up he goes. And he seems to be saying that anything that Adam Raga can do, he can do better as he comes down clean in Section 8, doing it all on the back wheel. Well, that's some celebration. And I'm sure the celebrations will continue long into the evening for Toni Bou. Incredible stuff in Section 8 to round off a near faultless day.